they're living with a certain sense of higher meaning.
Okay.
That may be sufficient because they're living with a certain mission and purpose that you don't find so much in Chutzlaritz.
Okay.
Which is beautiful.
So basically, you're trading off the quantity, let's call it, with quality, because the quantity would be the amount of Hasidus or Pnimis Torah for the quality of their...
All that is also growing, obviously.
Growing. But the quality of whatever Shavisi that they're living with is just greater than it is here.
Excellent. It's different. They're living on a different plane. Even the regular guys that are working, their hedge funds, there's something there that they're like on fire with.
Which is why I wanted to leave here, because we're just distracted. It's insane to watch people just totally miss the boat.
Most people are unconscious.
Perfect example. So, to me, it's a perfect example. The Israel Chesed Center, unbelievable organization.
What?
Israel Chesed Center? No.
Yeah.
Right. Amazing organization. Not his idea, but during Purim, they're trying to raise money for the Israel Chesed Center, for Israel, for different things. And
what was not his idea?
This idea coming up right now.
Oh.
Because I just wanted to preface that. And they had this idea, someone had this idea that instead of Mishlach Manos, we're going to put a sign on the door and say, we're not giving Mishlach Manos this year, but instead I use the money to send to Israel. Like, I understand the gesture comes from a good place, but Mishlach Manos is a mitzvah. You can't.
Or you could be it's about with one person.
Yeah, but that's not what it says. What I read in that is that we took Mishlach Manos to such a degree of luxury that we forgot that it's a mitzvah. To that extent, we forgot it was a mitzvah, and therefore I could take it away and just give the money away to someone else. I'm like, there's something really wrong with that. Why don't you?
You might be reading too much into it. Meaning they're acknowledging that Shalach Manos got out of control.
Yeah, I know
we're spending all this money. We're just we'll do the mitzvah, and now we're gonna.
If you have the Rabbi said this really funny. There was a similar idea going around with Hanukkah. Instead of giving my kids gifts, I'm going to give the money to Israel. Rabbi's like, you think children are gonna hop that you who could afford to go to Doma twice a week?
Yeah, why is that an instead?
Yeah, so I'm saying same with Mishlach Manos. If you have the money to spend $100 on a Mishlach Manos, just do your Mishlach Manos and give the Israel Chesed Center too. Do whatever you want. I'm saying or match it or something. It was just like the what I got out of that was that the luxury here is so intense that we forgot that this was a mitzvah.
Right.
Like that was the epitome where I'm like, I can't be here anymore. I wonder if this thing is actually on.
You say you can't be here anymore?
Yeah. I literally told my wife, after it was brewing, I told her what I was feeling, and then
if you want to move to Israel, you have to make a move pretty quick. Not pretty quick. Yes. How old are your kids?
So you're saying in terms of kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
How old are they?
My oldest is 5.5.
Ah.
No, we're getting to that.
Your window's to 7, 8, 9. My brother moved to Israel when my nephew was, I think, 10.
Uh-huh.
He's the oldest. It was tough, in the mid to upper teenage years. They got a little cuckoo, but then they go to the army and they straighten them out. My nephew was literally one of the first ones into Gaza. They have this tractor that they drive. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a massive truck. Mm-hmm. My mother was like, "Be careful when you're in Gaza." He's like, "I just said on the truck, it's everything proof. It's a truck. They dig up the road. To dig up the bombs."
My cousin's in one of the artillery units. He basically drives a truck that's like a tank, but it's not a tank. But they have all the missiles on it.
Mm.
By the way, it's live right now, so I don't know.
People are listening to us?
No one's listening to us, but
it's being recorded.
It's being recorded. I don't even know if they release it on YouTube.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, there. So that's where I'm holding. I have Rabbi also. He basically said, "That's nice." I asked Rishu. He said, just it's nice to have a cheshek, but just because you have a cheshek doesn't mean it must be. Essentially, is what he said. He said like daven, obviously, and if something comes your way, then take the opportunity. It was a little disheartening, but I understood what he was saying.
I understand what he's saying, and in general, you have to. He takes your lead.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come to me like, oh, I need to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't know you were coming. I'm sorry. I set it up already. So no, I totally agree. He essentially gave me advice. He said make sure you go to a good community or school because that could really mess a kid up, and make sure that you get them out before they're 7 or 8. I think he said, or maybe he said 6 or 7. I think it was 7 or 8.
And maybe you could push that a little bit, but yeah, that's really the window.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Let's start davening more.
That's true, and you have to want it more.
Yeah.
What happened to these things?
Oh, I didn't notice that. Should we take it out and put it down?
Right. No. It's supposed to be closed.
I know that, but someone didn't put the thing down. So you have to uncrank it, take it out, and then you have to pull the thing.
Yeah,
Do you know where the crank is?
No. I don't know where the crank is.
In the box with the
It really works.
What?
Ask
It really works.
Ask the lady.
The lady, Juanita, she doesn't know.
Yeah, she does. She's the one that closes it sometimes.
Really? Juanita knows?
I'm surprised that I already didn't put it down. So why would he? I guess. Hashgachan.
See you in your slime.
Amen.
Somebody told me he's going to show up. Somebody told me he's going to show up. It'll be very. It's a little too close for comfort. That's why I don't sit up front either.
Make yourself comfortable, whatever works for you.
Yeah. That's the story of the Jewish people. Whatever works for them.
Is it?
There's somebody sitting here, I see the water. Is that for him or for... He's going to sit there probably.
Somebody put that down there.
Not a doctor, not a rabbi, just a guy.
You're a doctor or whatever you do.
I don't have a doctorate.
What was that?
That's the chair.
I could
You're a
record you.
doctorate of knocking over chairs.
Yeah, I could record you.
How do we do this? Fine, come
What's the problem?
on. Gotta close this. Where's Mr. Parkoff over here? It's not gonna be over here.
Que pasa?
You gotta close this. Oh, I found it.
What happens when you open it? And then,
No, I have to. I don't know how to do it. I've watched people do it, but I'm just gonna guess.
You're opening or closing?
I'm gonna see these things. You hear the davening? So when I drop it, you won't hear the davening.
Oh, is that it?
I'm gonna try.
Terrific.
I'm gonna try. You know what I'm doing? I just watch the big guys do this. The guys with the documents.
I gotta slide it to the right.
Right?
Oh, there we go. Where's the piece though?
Supposedly.
Today is the 18th of Iyar.
Today's the 18th of the year, yes.
What happened was I do this? I thought this goes down.
Is it a separate piece?
Oh, here. Maybe it broke. Understand? See if it's on the side. Maybe you just keep cranking. That's good. You know how to close these bottom things? You watch them do it.
There's a string in there or something.
No, that the string pulls it up. I just tried that.
Beyond me.
Beyond you? You don't tell me you don't have a doctorate.
In shul science? Where are you sitting? Here or there?
Because I am a doctorate.
It looks like I should be sitting here. Okay, then I don't know who put that there, but I should apply the same thing. Yeah, we'll just go down and then.
You're very distracting for you. I don't know about for me. This string, but this side doesn't have a string. So here's the string. Ready? Pull the string. It releases.
Oh, then when I put it down, just go down on that. Is Elena? That's me. Alana? She's back.
It's not very helpful.
Huh?
She wasn't very helpful.
Yeah, it's this one.
That's what I used to. Oh, you mean once I. Let's see. Up here. And then pull this. Feels like the same thing, but you don't see it.
Whatever. Here's one.
You able to concentrate?
We'll have to, right? If Shimon could concentrate on the cave, we'll figure it out, you know?
Oh, you want to go there? Pretty well.
I'm assuming you made it. I didn't make it.
Here?
Yeah, last night.
Light, but
Huh?
it's pretty late with it here. Hashem. Bleachers were a nice, very, very important.
Yeah.
Rabbi basically said it's okay to keep them now.
Yeah.
He basically
Criminally.
said that. You heard that? You heard that line he said? Like you've been waiting a long time for it, which means.
You can do it. This is yours or mine?
I don't know. I saw it here. I don't know whose it is.
I got you.
I don't even know. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I knew it was going to be obviously a small crowd today, as last night was late for many people. I mean, You were not play last night?
3 o'clock?
Did you go to sleep last night? But we have to have Chabur and Bitachon, a Lag Bomer, because Lag Bomer is a Chag Bitachon. Happens to be, we've spoken about Purim. Purim is also a Chag Bitachon. That's why in Chazal, they bring down that Purim and Lag Bomer was the same day. Plag. Pei Lamed Gimel. Pei is the Purim, and then Lag is Lag Bomer. So it was the same day, right? I think Purim this year was Sunday, right? So they can't not have a Bitachon Chabura on the Yom of Bitachon. Shimon's whole life was about Bitachon. Many different aspects of his life were about Bitachon. And there's many things to talk about, but Shimon, of course, according to some, he came out of the cave in Lag Bomer. To be in a cave for 12 years and not go crazy. Bitachon and the Kodesh Baruch Hu, to trust that this is what the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants from him, even though he was standing up for Kodesh Baruch Hu. He was standing up against the Romans, and yet he gets thrown into a cave where Rabbi Yehuda, was speaking nicely about the Romans. Rabbi Yossi kept quiet, and they came out unscathed. Well, Rabbi Yossi had to run a little bit also, but not the same. Rabbi Shimon could have tinus, but a Baal Bitachon. Rabbi Shimon was, of course, the ultimate Baal Bitachon. Was able to go through a difficult period of 12 and 13 years. It's hard to even imagine it. It seems sometimes in Chazal, when they say out these very large numbers, it's called a guzma. It's an exaggeration to make a point, and it's something in Panemius. But I've never really heard anybody say that the 12 years was a guzma. It was like an exaggeration. It seems to be legitimately 12 years. It's like 4,000 days. That's, hundreds and hundreds of Shabbosos. And Tovim, not with his family. But what he came out with, let's talk about on Thursday night a little bit to some Chevra. He came out with in Torah Shabbat Peh and in Nister. He came out a totally different person, him and his son, and Elazar. And interesting, just at Rosh Tevos, Elazar and Shimon is Aish, right? By the fire. So his whole life was an Indian of Bitachon. Elazar, Aleph, Shem, Aish. That Rabbi Shimon also, before he even went into the cave, right? The Gemara in Shabbos, and Rabbi Nachman starts his entire sefer with this incident that happened in the Kerem B'Yavne after the Korban Beis HaMikdash, and the Talmidei Chachamim, the Chachamim said, it seems to be that Torah is going to be forgotten. It's a Sida in the future. Torah Tishtakach, Torah is going to become forgotten. And Rabbi Shimon got up with a fire and he says, Lo Sishach Mipizaro. It's a pasuk in Hazinu. But the Chum held that for whatever reason, it wasn't going to apply to this time. And Rabbi Shimon got up and the fire said, absolutely not. It has to happen. It has to be terrible forever going. Lo Sishach Mipizaro. Rabbi Nachman famously says, Lo Sishach Mipizaro, the Sofei Tevos spells Yochai. So Mipizaro, Lo Sishach Mipizaro, the Torah will not be forgotten from the children. So Rabbi Nachman says, you see a remiss of Shimon himself, because Mipizaro, the child of who? Last letter is Yochai. Who's the child of Yochai? Shimon, Bar Yochai. So that's how the entire Likutei Moharan starts. Rabbi Nosson put that in the beginning. I don't want to get into that now, but the Rabbi Shimon also, Torah Sum Naso, the ability for Rabbi Shimon to just learn Torah and not to work at all, right? Rabbi said at some point it was a Shabbos, maybe it was Shal Shidduch. Right, the big machlokas in Gemara and Brachos, Rabbi Shimon versus Rabbi Shmuel. Should you work and learn, or should you just learn? It's much, much larger. You can't just say those two a line like that people say, should you learn or learn and work? You have to learn the sugya properly. But Akol Pana Rabbi Shimon, we know Torah Sub Nasa. He said they'll be mefarnesim al pi acherim in a different way, as he was in the cave, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu made that a carob tree and a water stream. Now you have to also be like Rabbi Shimon to be able to live on 12 years with a carob tree and water. Doesn't mean you can live pi acherim and live in a luxury house and he lived on carobs. We still had PTSD from the carobs that we had to eat, the hard carobs that they had to eat by like Tu B'Shvat in school. So you can imagine. I heard apparently if they're fresh, they're good. This is what I heard. I just don't believe it at all. Not yet. I see exactly. No one's buying into that.
Process.
Yeah, Shimon was not eating processed carobs. It was like he was in a different stratosphere, different olam. He came out a different person. His bitachon, unmatched, and. We could give a whole shiur about this inyan. This comes from, it comes from a facet of bitachon. We're learning Shaar bitachon chovos avos, and we're trying to stay very strong on track to build bitachon, the most yesodistic level of bitachon, according to Shaar bitachon, trying not to move too much. I don't want to speak about the Nachamish Gamzus, if you go back, how his level of bitachon, Gamzu Latova, how everything will be for the best, miracles can happen. Even the Madrig of Reb Shimon, I'm not really getting into too much. But it comes from the first time that the word bitachon is used in the Torah. The first time the word bitachon is used in the Torah is, Rabbi? Vayichu Shnei Bnei Yaakov, Shimon, maybe I'm missing a word here. Vayichu Shnei Bnei Yaakov, Shimon v'Levi, or Levi v'Shimon, Ache Dina, Ish Charbos, they're going in to take Dina out of Shechem. Right, Shimon and Levi go. V'yovo al ha'ir, Betach. They go in with confidence. That's the way they would translate it. With confidence, not with trust, with confidence, which is, it's from the same word, it's the same Inyan, but it's a different style. Batach B'Hashem, Adayad, yeah. Al Ha'ir Batach v'Yahargu Kol, and they were able to kill out the entire city of Shechem and take Dina back. They came with confidence. So the Inyan of Bitachon, Reb Shimon and Levi, this is Shimon. Reb Shimon's Bitachon was of course he lived of the Shaar Bitachon. He lived in a cave for 12 years, and he didn't complain and he didn't fight against. But that gives a person an ability to go above. If a person downloads the level of Shaar Bitachon, which is the most foundational level, this is the level. Then a person can go a step above, where he can live life proactively with confidence, not proactively with confidence like we're learning it. That whatever Kodesh Baruch Hu throws at you, it's for the best. That's level one. That is, you can't move from that ever. But if you download that madrega for real, and every moment of your life, you're confident that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who's setting the stage, and everything he does is for the absolute best, then a person can, and everybody has in their own way, and a person can more and more live life proactively, confident, like Shimon and Levi, and just, then you know what to do, you can go and take and do it. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will come to your aid and help you out. That's how Reb Shimon Bar Yochai lived. Torah Sum Nasa. Losi Shachan Ripizar. It came from this Inyan of Bitachon of Shimon Levi, but again, that's coming after. Already that they have this, that this sheet is downloaded with all the 7 conditions, and they believed in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and yada yada yada. Like Yaakov Avinu was the base, and then Shimon Levi can go and they can take that to the next level. Shimon Bar Yochai was able to live the way he lived because he had a Rabbi Akiva, who he learned the way. If you remember, this is a long time ago. In the second Hagdama, I think we based the entire Shaar Bitachon off of Shittas Rabbi Akiva, called Avad Rochaman at the Tav Avad. Not Nachamish Gamzus Madrega. That's well above, and there's Chassidus does bring that in as a Shita, but there's Madregas. There's Madregas. Level 1 Madregas Shaar Bitachon. That's foundational. You can't move without that. Create a calm, tranquil, solid, grounded life, constant. But there's certain times in life where a person has the ability to go forge out with whatever it is in Ruch Nisak Hashmis, with a certain confidence that a Kodesh Baruch Hu will back him up. But that comes from something on the inside. Nachshon ben Amram jumping into the war, the Maccabeim fighting against, Mordechai Hatzadik, Shimon and Levi, Shimon Bar Yochai. But people can live that way. People can live that way. But again, it's another madrigas. Anyway, with that also interesting. It's Parshas Bahar was in Shemitah. The Medrash says, who are these Giborei Koach? They're called the Giborei Koach, these strong ones who are able to stand down from their parnasa for an entire year. You have to sit in these sugyas. Just think. There's no complications. And we have farmers who just did it. An entire year. Could you imagine taking an entire year off? You're not allowed to work. You can't get a paycheck.
You get a paycheck, but just not from that.
Yeah, I'm saying from working the land. You're yeah, okay. It's so easy just to find. It's not so simple. You can go work somewhere else, and there are ways that they try to help them get money.
You can't. Torah was addressing that was the economy. It's the equivalent of you.
They weren't going to trade stocks afterwards.
It's the equivalent of telling Doper Cal no summer camp this year. Okay, that's the equivalent.
And it's every 7 years. Every 7 years, COVID comes.
You got to start the email. Possible. You got to start the marketing again after.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. To think about these madregas, they called the Gibor HaKol. So Shimon Bar Yochai was an Indian of Gibor, of Netzach, and that comes from a very powerful level of bitachon. We're learning more of the bitachon on, like we'll call Teferis, which is a harmony between the Chesed and the Gevurah, trying to live whatever Kodesh Baruch Hu sends us in a harmonious, proper way. But there are times a person can, and hopefully we're all zocha to that. There's a certain feeling inside, of confidence, because you're connected to Kodesh Baruch Hu, not stam, because you've worked on yourself, that you just know that you could do this. You just know. But you have to be very careful, because it's like Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, Tarosum Nasa, a lot of people tried it, will also be other. It didn't work. As the Gemara says, many people tried it, it didn't work. Because that level is a level that you have to be zocheh to. Now, the Chovos Levavos doesn't hide away from it. Shaar Habitachon, we learned very quickly, why does a person have to go get Parnes HaShana, right? The Kodesh Baruch Hu created a world, we need to do hishtadlus, right? His mashal is, right? You got to get the food into your mouth. You have to do some kind of hishtadlus in this world. So why do we need Parnes HaShana? Kodesh Baruch Hu could take care of all this. So he said 2 reasons to go back in Chazer. Reason number 1 is because if you're not working, you're going to get into trouble. We get into trouble and we are working. You know what I mean? Could you imagine we're not working, but how much trouble we'd get into? And the second reason, the main reason, is because this is the way that Kodesh Baruch Hu tests a Jew. Through going to work, through his parnasa, through Emunah, through Bitachon, through the Midos, through the Mitzvahs, Losas, the whole world of going to work and dealing with people and places and stuff and trying to live a life of Emunah and Bitachon. That's why we go to work, to test us, to bring out our inner good. We gave many, many shirim. But the Chovos Levavos does say, but if you have a person who's worked on himself in Torah and Avodah and Bitachon and Midas Tovos, and if he would not be working, he would not get in trouble, right? And he doesn't really need to get tested through work because he's already worked on himself. He's been tested in other areas and he's proven to Kodesh Baruch Hu who he is. So therefore, does he have to go to work? Says Chovos Levavos, people who don't. There are certain people who have mastered. They don't need to be tested. They don't have these 2 reasons, and therefore they don't have to. That's Reb Shimon Bar Yochai's level. That's Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. So it is in the Sefer. It's not the main gist. He does not go with that. Right? He doesn't work with that because that person's already not a perfected person, but a worked through person. The rest of the Sefer is for the regular. It's for guys like us that we're trying to get to that madrega in our way. So he has to guide us. We need the guidebook. Those tzaddikim, they know what to do. Right? So the Sefer, so Shaar Habitachon does have that madrega of Shimon Bar Yochai in it. He has Torah Som Nasa, but this Sefer is not for that person. Because that person's already there. He's at the top of the mountain. He can live in a cave for 12 years on carobs and water, and he's happy. Like when he comes out of the cave, you have to analyze that Gemara in Shabbos, Daf Lamed Gimel, log, right? He says his back, his physical body was beat up. There was cuts in his back. I mean, he was sitting in sand, says Chazal. He had his clothing off. His neck up to his neck in sand. And he came out and he had bruises all over himself. And Pinchas ben Yair, famous Tana himself, the father-in-law of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, saw him. He started to cry over Reb Shimon's body. I mean, he was beaten up. He was bruised for 12 years, 13 years. And it says that he had a tear fell into Reb Shimon's back and it hurt Reb Shimon, and he screamed out, like, "Ow!" Because it was raw wounds. And the hot tears of Reb Pinchas ben Yair burned him. And he says to Reb Shimon, like, "Oy vey, that I should see you in such a state. Oy shrei sicha. Oy, that I should see you in such a state like this." Reb Shimon answers back. What does Reb Shimon answer back? Ashrecha. Ashrecha, praiseworthy that you see me like this, because if I didn't go through these tzaros, I never would come out with the Torah that I'm coming out with. And there, it's not talking about, the Gemara is not talking about Sisrei Torah, even though we know that's what he came out with, but in the Pinimis and Chitzonius, it says that Reb Pinchas ben Yair, one of the biggest Tanaim, every time Reb Shimon would ask him a question, he would answer with 12 answers. When Reb Shimon came out of the cave, every time Reb Pinchas would ask him a shayla, he came out with 24 answers. Which 12 is Yud Kei Vav Kei the Pertufim, and Chav Dalet is different permutations of Adnas, Al Dad Nud Yud. It's a lot of Pinimis in that Gemara as well. But he came out a different person. He was different madrig. Through his bitachon, through holding on, through the darkness, he came out. So it's a chizuk for all of us, that whatever darkness we go through, it doesn't have to be 12 years, Mitzvah Shem, should never be such a thing. Whatever darkness we're going as a prat or as a klal, the bitachon is you hold on, trust in Kodesh Baruch Hu, and you don't know when it's going to go. Every day, you think he was probably waiting to get out. Okay, right? 12 years? Okay, Kodesh Baruch Hu, a year? Yeah? Year's enough? No, 2 years. Okay, 2 years. Okay, fine. So I'll do like Yosef Tzaddik, an extra 2 years in the jail. 3 years? 4 years? 5 years? Kodesh Baruch Hu, maybe 6 years? Is that enough? Yeah, is that enough? Not enough darkness? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years. Reb Shimon waited with confidence. Can you imagine? We have to listen. We have to take these stories. These are real, from our tzaddikim and get chizik from them.
And then did it again.
I think the 13th year. Go back in. After he gets out, he's like, "You go back in." Imagine, because he went from gevura to ahava. But the get chizik that we also everybody goes through difficulties, but if you want to come out, if you want to be like a Rishon Bar Yochai, you gotta hold on, and hopefully it should ever be 12 years, 12 years. Get chizik from Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Kiva died al Kiddush Hashem. You know, these are we have to take stories. We have to take chizik from there, not just from the Chumash Gamzu that everything happened as a miracle. How do you think the Chumash Gamzu got to his madrega? Because he first started called David Rahman Talvavid. He started Rabbi Kiva's level, and then he was the Rebbe of Rabbi Kiva. He started in that madrega and he got to such a place. So basically, I was just explaining why we have to have Chabur today. But with that, let's start a little bit of the next part of the Sefer here. We're on page 174. Yeah. Bitchu b'Hashem adayad. Let's.
Still never did this page, right?
Which page? We did.
Yeah, we did.
We ended over the last week. I quickly went through it at the end. Catch it on, as Rabbi would say, catch on the tape. Catch on the tape. Okay. Page 174. So now we're going into the next section, fifth category. In the fifth category, we're now still dealing with mitzvahs, but whereas by the fourth category, we're discussing the proper bitachon. We're speaking about our own personal mitzvahs, our own chovos levavos, mitzvahs that only affect us. Now we're going to move on to bitachon regarding mitzvahs that affect other people. Many mitzvahs are dealing with other people, and he's going to explain right at the beginning. So let's read through the whole section. Let's read through the whole section in a very simple way, and then I'm going to ask you to explain to me what he's saying. So pay attention. That's my way of telling you to pay attention. Not joking. 174. Aval. Second to last paragraph. Aval perish achelek achamishi v'hu chovos al-ivar masher to'altam v'nizkam is abrim el zulasu. We will now discuss the explanation of how to have proper bitachon regarding the fifth category, namely the duties that a person performs with his limbs that benefit or harm other people. Kitzdaka v'hamaisi v'limud chacham v'tzavos b'tov v'hazar v'hazher mehara v'lahashiv amonos l'haster asor l'daber tov l'asas atov v'kibud avos v'hashavas v'risham elokim v'horos b'nei adam darchei tovasam v'lachmal aniyim v'rachem elem v'lisbul cherpasam kishem me'erosam el ha'avodim v'yachelosam v'yoram v'gemul ha'onesh. Examples of mitzvahs that fall into this category include charity, tzedakah, giving money to other people, separation of meiser, dealing with the Leviim or anything like that, truma, to deal with the Kohanim, teaching Torah wisdom to other people. Happens to be Shevet Shimon was very involved in such a thing. Teaching other people proper conduct, teaching them, maybe giving them tochacha, dealing with other people, warning them against bad behavior, give them azharas. Similarly, returning deposits and debts, that's how they're learning it. They're adding here, L'hashiv ha'amanos, that's what they're learning, is returning deposits and debts. Keeping a secret. Last their sot. That's an interesting one. That's not a classic mitzvah in the Torah, but if a person can't keep a secret, I don't think Chazal have such good things to say about them. Speaking good about a fellow, behaving kindly with a fellow, honoring parents, humbling the wicked so that they return to the service of God, advising people on what is good for them, having compassion for the poor people, and being merciful toward people when they are in distress. That whole world. This also includes tolerating embarrassment by people when attempting to inspire them to divine service by informing them of the great reward that is due to the people who perform God's will. You have a long one on that one. Handling bush when you're trying to do good. Right? That's a clear act of bitachon, because there you're trying to do good. People are yelling at you, spitting at you, and making fun of you, and you have to confidently hold that this is what a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants you to do. But the rest of them are not so simple. And by instilling in them fear of punishment that is due people who transgress God's will. Okay, all different types of mitzvahs, and you can add more. Afnei yosher habitachon bazeh. Sheyia adam tzofin bilvavo kol hamaysim ha'elev ha'adom lahem. V'yivchar asosam v'yisabe v'aleim. Kefi ma she'egdamnu b'chilek ravim v'chiyuv ha'bechira. Next page, aleinu. L'skar v'elohim bilvad. V'liknos shein v'chavod b'neim. V'lo l'kavos ha'gemu b'hem v'lo l'starer aleim. What is the proper way to have bitachon regarding these aforementioned manners? Now, remember, in mitzvahs, as we've been learning for the past few weeks, right, not just a mitzvah, but every act that we do is broken down to three parts. There's the choice, the bechira, and there's the hishtadlus, the effort, then there's the gemar ha'maisa, the result. Getting to the result and the result. Or And we discussed by mitzvahs, where is our bitachon? To choose to do the mitzvahs, Kodesh Baruch gave you a Torah. There's no bitachon. You know what to do. In terms of the efforts, that's clear you have to get up and do. You can't have bitachon in the area of hishtadlus. It's hand in hand, but you have to do. It's the third category, by the results. That's where bitachon lies in terms of mitzvahs. When we were talking about mitzvahs by yourself, we were talking about areas of trying to get it to be fulfilled. You have bitachon that a Kodesh Baruch Hu will help you fulfill what you want to fulfill. If you don't fulfill it, that's His will. You could have bitachon in the area of yichud hamayis. Remember, we added in, which was the bitachon in how pure our kavanas, our machshavas, like David HaMelech, so we could trust and we could dive into a Kodesh Baruch Hu to help purify our heart. We went through Ahavas Olam last week. That entire tefillah before Shema is a tefillah of asking a Kodesh Baruch Hu to help us. B'miyached our leiv, b'mitahar our leiv, l'avdecha be'emes, that whole world. So what's going to be over here? So what is the proper way to have bitachon regarding these aforementioned matters? The person should have in his heart the intention to do all these acts and the like, any mitzvah that has to do with other people, should the opportunity arise to do them. What should he have in mind? What should he have in his heart? When the opportunity does arise, he should make the choice to do them and pursue the means with which to do them. That's not bitachon. That's choose to do it, bechira, that's you, and go put the efforts in, that's you. As already explained in the fourth category, right? Like that was the last category, and the obligation to choose to observe the mitzvahs while having in mind the goal of drawing others close to Hashem. Any mitzvah that we're doing to help another person, part of the mitzvah, every mitzvah has many layers. There's the external aspect of the mitzvah, tzedakah, saying nice things to somebody, whatever it is. But the pnimius of the mitzvah, there's also the most pnimi level of every mitzvah is the same also. Because the Kodesh Baruch Hu said to do this, I believe in a God, I'm going to do this. That's every mitzvah. But then there's that middle, and in these mitzvahs where you're dealing with other people, says the Chavos Uvavos, you should have in mind that the goal of drawing others close to Hashem. Even when you give tzedakah, any mitzvah you do, Ben Adam L'Chavero, is for you to do an act, and it's also that the recipient understands that you're trying to draw him close to the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Right? This is what we're doing over here. Me helping you, I'm not helping because I'm a nice guy. I'm helping you because the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants me to help you because we're all Jews here together. And you also should get connected to a Kodesh Baruch Hu because He's good. He sent me to help you. Right? Again, that's all in the area of Kavanas Halev and in the area of more of Yichud HaMaisa. And, he says, right there, and not with the goal of acquiring for himself a name or honor from the people with whom he is performing these mitzvahs. Every mitzvah has to be done pure. Part of bitachon in mitzvahs ben adam lechavero are to never have in mind that you're ever doing this mitzvah to get honored, to get any reciprocal act, to have someone remember you for a later date. It has to be as lishma as possible. This is part of our bitachon. Similarly, his intention in performing these mitzvahs should not be with the hope of their repaying him. You're doing a mitzvah because the Kodesh Baruch Hu told you to do it. Not so you could do it to get back. If you do get back at a later date because you did this for them, that was a Kodesh Baruch Hu's decision. And He sent you as a messenger to help them, and then a Kodesh Baruch Hu sent them as a messenger to help you. It all comes back to Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Inyan here, at least in the first aspect of bitachon, is the recognition, and we've discussed this a while ago, that everything in this world is a messenger of Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now, we looked at it in the way of everything that's coming at me, every situation of life, every person, every current event, everything that's coming into my world, it's a messenger of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, and therefore it's for my best, therefore it's the best, everything's great. Right? Everything's from a Kodesh Baruch Hu as a messenger, and therefore I have to respond, seeing it that way, which is calm, besimcha, tranquil, understanding what hishtadlus I have to do, but only after the recognition that a Kodesh Baruch Hu is sending this shaliach at me for a purpose, and a good purpose. But we did discuss also If HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends everything in the world at me as a shaliach, and I believe that 100%, well then I also am part of that world, and I'm also sent out as a shaliach Hashem towards other people. Just like when this person comes to me for parnasa, this person comes to me to do a mitzvah for me, so too when I go to somebody else to do parnasa, when I go to do a mitzvah, when I go to help another person, I'm Hashem's shaliach. I'm not my own person. If you think you're your own person, well then it comes with strings attached. I did this for you. I'm not asking for anything now, but in the back of your mind, like, remember me. Or, you help a person and you think that it's pure, but then when you help them again and again and again, everybody has a certain limit. How many times are you going to help this person? Why are you limited? If you're a shaliach, just do your job, man. Right? If your boss tells you to go to the store to buy him a coffee 8,000 times a day, it might be annoying, I guess, but that's what you're getting paid to do. Just do the thing you're told to do. But if you think that it's you, if it's your responsibility and it's your decision, and therefore it's your reward to make, I don't know, this is enough. Ad kan. Not that a person is a rag. Be very careful. When it means you're shliach Hashem, you still have to have a brain. You still have to choose. If a person comes to you every single day for tzedakah, every single day, I'm poor, you have to give him every single day? I'm not pasking now. But you'll say, well, I guess so. According to what he just said, you have to. I mean, you're shliach Hashem to give tzedakah. But you're also a bar das to maybe this person needs something else. Maybe he needs like a little bit of a shmooze. Maybe you have to ask him like, buddy, hey, what's going on with you? The Iker Nakuda, what Shaar Habitachon teaches us, is the emotional response. If the person comes to you every single day, don't be angry. Don't be frustrated. Don't be upset. Could be maybe you decided that, I gave you a lot of money already, I can't give anymore. Could be. There's no rules to that exactly. But the one rule is, if you're a shliach Hashem, you're not going to get upset at him. Kodesh Baruch Hu sent him, and he sent you, and you could say no, you're allowed to say no. But it's the anger inside that we're trying to dispel and calm down. That's the main point of Shaar Habitachon. That if you do what's right, if you do work for HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the way that you're supposed to work, with bitachon and hishtadlus, you can live life happily. Sometimes a person's upset when a shliach comes to him so many times. Why? Not because he's necessarily annoyed at the shliach. It's because I can't give the shliach today. I can't. I want to, but I can't. And I'm upset that I can't. So we become upset, not because he asked us. It just triggered us that I want to give, but I don't have the parnasa right now. And then because I don't have a job, it's because this. And you go into this whole world of craziness. You're not upset at this guy. You're upset at your matzav. That's really where it's coming from. But what we're learning bitachon is, a person can ask you a million times. We learned this about tzedakah. We were already early in the sefer. If you have what to give, then give happily. And if you don't have what to give, don't give happily. Because you trust that a Kodesh Baruch Hu either gave you or he didn't give you.
Right. Don't give, but be happy. Don't give, happily.
Don't
give. You said don't give. Don't give and don't be
I think
happy.
I said don't give happily.
Oh, don't give happily.
I think everybody understands what I'm saying. But yes, don't give, but in a happy way.
And it should be okay with it.
But it's not so easy for people,
Yeah.
People want to do good, or they want to daven well. They don't daven well. We learned this. This was last week or 2 weeks ago. You want to daven well. You don't daven well. I can't believe it. I tried it again. It doesn't work. Bitachon is al tidag. Could be you need to realign things, but again, the emotional response to the result. That's always what bitachon, always what it's dealing with. Bitachon has more going in with confidence, like we were discussing in the Hakdama, but what we're learning in this sefer is the ability to respond, basically, to results. Every second is a result from the second before. You hear news, that's already even though that news is going to cause you to do something, and then that's going to need another result. But the second you hear the news, it's already considered a result from the second before. How are you going to respond to that current events? When the stock market goes down, how are you going to respond to that? If the stock market goes down, yes, you need to realign businesses, and then you have to do this, and then try to make money a different way, which will be a different type of result, an actualized whatever. But every moment, if you break it down, is a result from the last moment. And therefore, every moment we have an opportunity to utilize our bitachon. Don't leave it for the big things. It's only 3 times a week you're working on bitachon, and okay, no, every moment could be worked on. So again, when it comes to those types of mitzvahs, it's about how we respond always. Trusting that a Kodesh Baruch Hu is with us and He knows what we're holding, and we know what He's holding, and what do we expect?
You can't control anything that happens to you. You can't control your response.
This is what bitachon is. Bitachon is giving us the tools of how to respond properly and appropriately, with simcha, with tranquility, with shalvus. That's what we're doing here. And I Baruch Hashem, I get messages from people all the time that they're like, "Wow, this would have thrown me off." The guy's car breaks down in the middle of the road and he has to go to a shiur. That's what I got this last week. Good Tyra Yid who speaks to me sometimes. He had to go to give a shiur. This is, and it's very serious. When it's, sometimes I told you, for certain people, when it comes to Parnasa, they could forgo. Okay, it doesn't work. Kodesh Baruch. They know that a Kodesh Baruch is running the world. Fine. When it comes to the ruchnius, they can't forgive. Like, how could it be I didn't daven well today? How could it be I didn't learn today? If I didn't make the money, I get it. Kodesh Baruch runs the world. He runs Parnasa. I get it. But ruchnius, Kodesh Baruch, I'm trying. Why don't you give it to me? I want to give a shiur. I'm just trying to do your will. That could throw people off depending on the person. Everybody's different. Throw them off even more.
Friday morning already spoke exactly about this.
Friday morning?
Yeah, Friday morning said about a guy who has to go visit his brother, and he can't daven with a minion. He's been davening with a minion. He's a minion guy. And never miss a minion. So that totally bends him out of shape. But if he had bitachon, he realized that you also have to go visit your brother, and it's impossible to be with a minion. So daven with the coach.
Right.
If you say, well, I don't know if this is. We say that we have to do what we have to do, and then we're disconnected from the results. Okay? I have to do these. I have to do
emotionally disconnected from the results. Yeah, we gave.
Yeah, is that
what we gave a calculation once. I have to remember. We gave a mathematical calculation. Remember this?
Bitachon is the.
I think we said bitachon. I have to see it again. I gave a mathematical calculation. Bitachon equals. I think it was like 100. I don't remember. I have to see. I sent it out. I can get it again.
Is that concept?
The minus is an emotional attachment to results.
Right, so
that was the minus
from the results.
Yeah, emotionally.
Yeah. But that's like a negative statement. The positive statement. So what comes into that vacuum then?
Yeah.
The positive.
Yeah. Bitachon equals emotional attachment to Hashem's goodness, plus in parentheses hishtadlus minus emotional attachment to results.
Right, again, say it again. We'll go slowly. Bitachon equals
emotional attachment. This is on the chat. Emotional attachment to Hashem's
goodness, which is all the 7 conditions of a Kodesh Baruch Hu's, right? You trust in that. And now in parentheses, what do we?
Plus, in the parentheses, you do your hishtadlus,
but what
minus the emotional attachment to results.
Right. You still have to do hishtadlus, meaning Bitachon is Hashem's goodness plus your hishtadlus, but none of your expectations.
There are 3 variables, and all of them need to be in place.
Yep.
For some people, the challenge is disconnecting from the results. Some people have an easier time with that. For other people, it may be more difficult to live in that place of variable number 1, which is
Hashem's goodness.
Hashem's goodness is always present. So all 3 of those need to be present.
And that's what this Sefer really teaches us all 3. We're just trying to clarify it in a clear way, because it's not so easy. Because even in this, we're not done with this yet. But I want to make a point. I want to. Right now, again, let's get back. We got off a little bit. Right now, we're speaking about, again, mitzvahs that have to do with other people. Okay? Mitzvahs that you're doing towards other people. So, one nukuda that we're discussing, and where does bitachon come in? Bitachon comes in a general way that you have to see yourself as a shaliach Hashem. Right? That's in bitachon, I'll say it again, that bitachon is trying to see the world from God's eyes, right? If you would see the world from God's eyes, you would see how everything really has a purpose. Everything's good, right? Even if it's a 20-year plan, right? Kodesh Baruch is doing an act now that looks dark and black, but it's a 20-year plan. You see the positive benefits. Okay, I get it. So we want to see things from God's perspective. That's really what bitachon is. That's why to have a relationship with Him, in Amuna and learning Sefer of Bilvavi, it very much helps build this. The more you have a relationship with somebody, the more you trust them. The more you have a relationship with the Kodesh Baruch Hu, the more you can trust. People just jump to trust. It's a little bit technical. It's like logical. It works. People can learn. You can learn Shaar Bitachon, but it's not as deep in the heart. So in God's eyes, okay, let's just get into his eyes for a second. When he looks at every single one of us, what does he see? A shliach. He sees a shliach. And for many, many things, each person has an akuda that he has to bring out in this world through his various acts of life and his way he's sent. But a Kodesh Baruch Hu looks at us like a shliach, and therefore, sometimes he sends his own shlichus. It's not just the Lubavitchers go on shlichus, we also go on shlichus. They have difficult shlichus. Baruch Hashem that they're in the world, I don't think we'd handle it. But everybody's a shlichus. You're a shliach to smile at another Jew. You're a shliach to help them with this. You're a shliach to just to be in a shul davening well, and then someone sees you, you're not even trying, you're just davening. And a guy gets chizik from seeing you davening. Right? You're a shliach every single moment of your life. You have no idea how a Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to use you. All you have to know is a Kodesh Baruch Hu is going to use you. And therefore, be your best, do your best, trusting him that even if you make a mistake, you're shliach Hashem. Person gets down, I made a mistake. How do you know? Maybe a person got chizik from seeing that. Or a person sees you make a mistake and then get back up. How do you know? You don't know. And therefore, be confident that it is what a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants from you. Trust. There's no lose. You can't lose. When it comes to Bitachon, if you download it properly, you cannot lose. There's no such thing. Because as long as God's in the world, and he's running the world, and you're still alive, then you're a winner, if you have Bitachon. You can't, it's impossible. There's no such thing. You could, lol in and out saying a person should. But if a person falls to a big sin, but he's holding on, he had bitachon, whatever, he had a taiva, whatever it is. With that bitachon, person can get out. Other people can get chizik from this person. I just heard it was open, I guess, this podcast. It just reminded me of a certain person. Obviously, it's not Lashon Hara. He said it about himself, and I didn't hear it, but people told me there's a certain Jew who did some bad stuff, and he calls himself out on it, and he was very open about it. Do you know how many people have... I don't hear that much from the outside world. That's the way it is. But the amount of times I've heard people speak about this one podcast, how much chizik is given them, and he did things that were wrong. But the fact that he was so open, and that he was so raw about it, and he said it was wrong, but he's going to move on stronger. So many people got chizik from this.
People get chizik from hearing emes.
From emes, no one should ever steal or do anything wrong. But if he's living with, you told me that he was working with bitachon. Only a person with bitachon can be so open about it. Now you have to be careful not to be open and then invite other people to sin. But that's even a Gemara. There's a whole Indian with that. But he's not trying to do that. He's trying to mechazik other people. And it came from bitachon, the fact that he could speak openly about that because he trusts that he was used as a shaliach. Yes, he made a mistake. He did it was his bechira, and he paid the price. But a Kodesh Baruch Hu used him as a shaliach for this, and his what he's doing now is being mechazik so many people. He mamash sees why he had to go through what he went through. Not that he wanted to go through. He didn't. Even though he chose to do it, he wasn't doing it for this reason. I'm trying to be very careful in how I say things. But who knows? But with bitachon, you cannot lose. He sinned openly. He got caught. And yet, he's coming out a winner. Yes, he went through a cave. He was in darkness. I don't know how many years it was. But with bitachon, you come out strong. What do you say?
I was wondering which podcast.
You could say it. He says it on the podcast, but it's not like he's hiding it. So I'll go upon him. The first major inyan, I didn't really get to my question yet, and I see today we're not going to, as Kedarkeno. I always say in this basement of the Rabbi, like, he has ashpa on everything. So whenever he says he's going to say something, it's just going to be a minute, guys. It's 30 minutes. We're going to get to it today. You're not going to get to it today. It's okay. So I took that on also. We're not going to get to what I wanted to today. But I got to everything I wanted to today. So the first area that we have to keep into mind, and it's through all of our life. All of our life, it's just coming out bifrat in emphasized manner here with our mitzvahs, connecting to other people, is you're a shliach Hashem. Therefore, when you do a mitzvah, don't look to get honor. That's not a shliach. If a shliach is trying to get honor, then he thinks he's the Baal Dover. He thinks he's the guy. The king told you to do something, so you do it. Now you're asking, you want the people who you did the shlichus were to give you honor? then you're stealing from the king. The king sent you to do that. You should be a humbled servant. That's the ikr. Every servant should be chazak, strong, gibor, but humble, knowing where his power comes from. So if a person sees himself as a shliach Hashem, he's the strongest shliach. He doesn't look for honor when he does it. He doesn't look to be repaid. He doesn't look for anything. He does it because he's supposed to do it. He does it b'leiv shalom, with kavanah tahora, with an emistic heart. Should not be with the hope of repaying him, nor should it be in order to rule over them. Nor does he look to rule over anybody with his mitzvahs. You have a lot of money, and you can lend it to people, and you can help people with business. Never should the thought go through your mind, now I own you. You're the biggest loser. You're the biggest ganav. You're a kofar and a Kodesh Baruch Hu. You're not seeing yourself as shaliach. You're the worst. Let's just finish this off, and we're going to have to continue mentioning them next week. This is connected to last week. After doing this, meaning as you're doing the mitzvah, meaning in the hishtadlus portion, when you're trying to help a person, you have to have the bitachon shebe hishtadlus, that you're doing this in a pure way. After doing this, he should rely on God regarding the completion of the act. At the end of the day, I could have the money out to hand to a person to give him a loan, of course, with the thought I'm a shliach to help him, with the thought that it's pure, it's from a Kodesh Baruch Hu, he gave me this money, I'm giving it to this person, but then the money might not get to this person's hand. But then I didn't do my mitzvah. So that, again, the bitachon, like we discussed in the fourth category, after doing this, you should rely, you need bitachon to trust on God regarding the completion of the act that he intended to do, which is in accordance with what God wants from him, provided the person has made the efforts to do so. You have to take the money out and try to give the person. You can't say, hey, come get it. Whatever it is. You have to actually try to do the mitzvah and then trust the Kodesh Baruch Hu that if he wants it to come to fruition, it will. And if it doesn't, that's what he wants.
So one caveat with the shliach, mashal, is that a shliach of basar v'dam is not done his shlichus until the result is manifest. But the shliach of Kodesh Baruch Hu is done with his shlichus the moment the ishtadlus is completed.
Correct, because when you're a shliach Hashem, you're a shliach Hashem for yourself and for other people. If a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants you to lend money, a guy says, I need you to lend me money, I need your help, whatever it is. You're like, sure, let's do this. I'm a shliach Hashem, b'kavanah shalema, b'leiv tar, everything. And you come to the place to do it. You didn't do the ma'aseh yet. You've already actualized some of your kochos and nefesh. You're shliach Hashem to be a good person. You've done that. If you don't get to do the mitzvah, the guy drove away, whatever it is, then you didn't get that aspect of shlichus. But you get the full shlichus when you help that person. But you have to trust that it's what a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants it to be. But you always still get the shlichus between a Kodesh Baruch Hu and you. That you're at. Meaning we're shlich Hashem to help people in the world, to raise a family, to do all good things for other people. But we're also shlich Hashem that we should become what Hashem wants us to become. That you don't necessarily need to have other people there. You could be in the cave like Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, and he's learning Torah for 12 years. He's not dealing with anybody else. But yet, what came out of him, at that time, he became Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. Again, he didn't deal with anybody. But he was a shlich Hashem to reveal that light within himself, and then only by his death did he reveal the Pnimis of Torah. That make sense?
Yeah, but that's not what I was saying.
You were saying...
I was saying...
I wanted to expand it, but yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, when we think about if I'm an agent for someone, I have to complete the mission. Otherwise, I didn't do anything. If he sends me to take care of a certain thing, I need to get that result. If I don't get the result, I didn't do my job. But when we're shlichus of Hashem, the shlichus is over at an earlier point. The moment
so I understood that, but if you don't actually help that person, didn't do.
I'm gonna go as far as I can. But
right.
If something happened and the guy drove away or something prevented.
Correct.
That's so.
But my point was, you did your job. So I wanted to point out that you didn't. I want to say it this way: you didn't do your job to help that person. Yet, Bitachon says that's what Kodesh Baruch Hu wants from you. So then, what did he want? This is my point. I'm taking what you're saying. I'm just agreeing.
It's not my Indian.
But your shlichus was that you did.
I see. Okay.
You did what you had to do, so you became a bigger person, even though you didn't actually do that act. Right? If you didn't actually do the shlichus to lend the guy money, so you did everything you had to do. Right? Bitachon says you did whatever you had to do, but the guy drove away, but you didn't do the thing. So what did you do? It's like a stira. You didn't help the guy, but yet
the point?
we're saying, like, what's the point?
Do what you were supposed
And the
to
answer is, I'm just agreeing with you. I just want to bring it out. The point is that you're always a shliach Hashem for yourself. Meaning Kodesh Baruch Hu wants to bring out of you, remember, tochacha is toch, your panimis, your toch, your contents. There's a light inside of everybody. There's a goodness inside of everybody. But you need to actualize that goodness. So walking up to the mitzvah, yet never doing the mitzvah, you still revealed your goodness inside.
So if someone gives you shliach mitzvah money to go to Eretz Yisrael and give this to tzedakah, no specific person, you go on that plane and you're holding that, you're being told something because you're on your way to do the mitzvah. That's sort of where the shmirah is somewhat coming from, right?
Okay.
So even at time, let's say you never give the tzedakah, so you didn't finish, but you still had that shmirah, which means that you were still involved in the mitzvah somewhat, even though you didn't come to completion.
Every moment, yeah. I mean, it's a very low level, shliach.
Dumb it down for myself.
But yeah, I mean, every single second you're shliach. I mean, hopefully you weren't just negligent at the end, because then that's also a whole.
I'm not talking about that.
But yeah, I mean, every moment you're a shliach.
If you split up the time that you're doing the mitzvahs, or that you're doing the shlichus,
Every moment could be broken down to the more kavanah, the better. The more kavanah, the better. Okay, Hashem will continue next week.
God. Ooh.